Let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. She looked the judge dead in the eye and said, "I don't want to live with Mommy. She hurts people when no one's looking." The courtroom fell silent. And for the first time, so did her mother. The judge leaned forward slightly. The lawyers stopped mid-note. And Cal Raines, hands clenched in his lap, jaw tight, finally saw his ex-wife's mask crack. Dana blinked, once, twice, as if trying to rewind time. But her daughter wasn't done. "She hits me when she drinks. She makes me lie. She says Daddy's dangerous, but he's not." Lily's voice quivered, but her spine stayed straight. Cal didn't move. Couldn't. Every cell in his body begged to scoop his daughter into his arms, but he knew better. Knew what restraint looked like after years in uniform. This was a battlefield, not a reunion. Dana's lawyers stammered. "Your Honor, we object to." "Sit down." The judge barked, voice sharp as steel. For months, Cal had been painted as a volatile man, PTSD-stricken, unpredictable, emotionally unstable. Dana wept on the stand, showed old photos of bruises with no date stamps, claimed he'd gone dark during his deployments, said he once broke a lamp just because she forgot to buy his favorite coffee. But Cal had no record, no outbursts, just silence, controlled, heavy silence. And now, from that same silence, came Lily's voice, clear and cutting through the lies like a blade. 6 months earlier, the door to Cal's apartment creaked open. A box sat outside, his old army duffel bag and a manila envelope duct taped to it. He picked it up, tore it open, and read the court summons. Custody petition, Dana Raines versus Cal Raines. Grounds: emotional instability, physical threat, abandonment. He stared at the paper longer than he should have. Then he folded it, walked back inside, closed the door. Cal hadn't seen Lily in 3 months. Every call ended with Dana's voice. "She doesn't want to talk to you." Or worse, "She's scared of you, Cal." Lies travel fast. And in court, the truth gets buried under dramatics and carefully rehearsed tears. The custody hearing moved quickly. Dana's lawyers pushed for temporary full custody, citing erratic behavior and Cal's refusal to seek therapy. Her sister, a social worker, wrote an affidavit stating that Lily was fearful around her father. No one asked Cal what he saw overseas. No one asked how many children he pulled out of bombed-out schools. No one asked how he'd fought for strangers, only to be called a monster in his own home. The judge granted Dana full custody. Visitation suspended, pending psychiatric evaluation. The day after the ruling, Cal sat in his car across the street from Dana's house. Lily's bedroom light flickered on. A shadow crossed the window. Then it flickered off. 3 weeks later, Cal wasn't a man built for revenge. He was built for precision, for focus, for endurance. He started simple, routine surveillance. A dash cam rigged to face Dana's driveway. A small camera tucked into the trees. No laws broken. Nothing invasive. Just observation. He saw things. A man with a shaved head visiting every Thursday. Same time. Same car. Never stayed long. Sometimes, Dana was already outside waiting. One night, Lily left the house, barefoot, crying, ran to the backyard swing, and curled into a ball. Dana never came after her. 10 minutes later, the man arrived. Cal recorded everything. He didn't call the cops. Didn't confront Dana. Didn't even speak to his lawyer. Not yet. Because a soldier doesn't strike when he's angry. He strikes when he has a plan. 1 month in, Cal intercepted a call from Lily's school. The front office called his old number by mistake. "Hi. We just wanted to check. Will you or Dana be picking up Lily early today for the family therapy session?" Family therapy? He hadn't been told about any therapy. He went anyway. Didn't walk in. Just watched from across the street. Dana walked out 15 minutes later, alone. No Lily. That night, Cal drove to his lawyer's house. "I need full custody," he said. "And I need to prove she's lying." The lawyer raised an eyebrow. "Do you have any evidence?" Cal pulled out a USB drive. "There's more coming." But what he didn't know, what would nearly derail everything, was what Lily was hiding, even from him. And when the moment came, it wouldn't be Cal who cracked the case wide open. It would be the child they both claimed to love. And in that courtroom, only one of them walked out a parent. A week after Lily's testimony, Cal sat in his car outside the courthouse, engine off, hands steady. He hadn't spoken to his daughter since that day. The court had gone into immediate recess. Dana's lawyer filed for an emergency motion to dismiss Lily's claims as emotional trauma from divorce. The judge denied it. Now came the real war. 4 months earlier, the man in the gray car came again. Cal hadn't followed him yet. Not until now. Thursday evening, 6:41 p.m. Dana opened the door before he even knocked. She wasn't in her usual robe. She was dressed like she had somewhere expensive to be. Black dress, red lipstick, hair curled in ways she used to only bother with for anniversaries. Lily wasn't in the window this time. Cal followed the car from a half-block back, eyes on the taillights, dash cam recording everything. Dana's SUV trailed behind the gray sedan. They didn't go far, just a mid-tier hotel by the highway. But she didn't book a room. She went into a side door, like she'd been there before, like someone was waiting. Cal didn't get out. Didn't need to. By now, his back seat was a mobile evidence locker. Labeled drives, timestamps, voice locks. Back at his apartment, Cal opened a folder marked J.D. Grayson, Thursdays only. He clicked play on an audio clip. Low quality but clear. You're pushing it, Dana. If she cracks, she won't. She's scared of me. You better hope so. If the kid talks, it's not just your custody on the line. You lied under oath. Click. Cal sat back in his chair. Let the silence play out. He wasn't the kind of man who snapped. He was the kind who waited for the perfect moment. Later that night, Cal drove past Lily's school. Not stalking, watching. A teacher he'd spoken to once came out the front gate. Mrs. Kessler. Mid-40s. Gentle voice. Wore owl earrings. She taught Lily art class before Dana withdrew her for private homeschooling. Cal pulled up slowly, rolled down the window. Evening, ma'am. She blinked. Mr. Raines? Is everything all right? I just wanted to ask. Did my daughter ever say anything strange before she left school? Kessler hesitated, then nodded toward her car. Let's talk where we won't be overheard. Inside her car, she locked the doors, then said, she once drew a picture of a house with 2 windows. One window had her crying. The other had someone with red lips holding a belt. Cal didn't blink. Did you report it? I asked Dana. She said it was a misunderstanding. A Halloween costume. Cal's jaw flexed. She was terrified to speak in class, Kessler whispered. Like every word cost her. Back in the present, the court was reviewing Cal's new petition, one backed by hard evidence. Audio files of Dana and J.D. discussing planted abuse photos, surveillance of J.D. entering and exiting Lily's home, voicemail messages from Lily's teacher about worrisome drawings, a therapy bill that included dates Cal was never invited to attend, but the strongest piece of evidence? Lily herself. And she hadn't even said everything yet. Back to 5 months earlier, Cal met with a friend from his old unit, Mason Torres, now a cybercrime investigator. You want me to hack her? Mason asked, leaning over his coffee. No, I want you to find what she buried. Mason opened his laptop. Her phone, email, or cloud? All 3. Start with the family court documents. She submitted copies I never saw. Won't hold up in court if I dig illegally. I'm not using it yet. Just need to know what I'm fighting. Mason worked fast. Within days, he found something Dana never expected anyone to check. A set of hidden folders in her cloud backup, labeled with medical codes. Inside, dozens of files. Doctor visit summaries for Lily that never made it to Cal. Notes from therapists Cal never approved. One flag document. Injury, explanation filed. It listed a bruised wrist and Dana's own typed note. Fell during yard play. No other adult present. Father has not seen child since January. The visit was dated March 3rd. Cal had video of Dana's new boyfriend at the house that same day. That night, Cal called his lawyer. A new one. Not the soft-spoken man he'd started with. This one was different. Ex-Jag, like him. I'm going to need a subpoena for her full medical and therapy records, Cal said. You got enough for probable cause? Cal dropped a thumb drive on her desk. The lawyer plugged it in, listened to a 30-second clip, raised an eyebrow. I think I just heard your ex commit conspiracy to defraud a court. 1 week before Lily's testimony, Cal showed up to the pretrial hearing with new files. The judge reviewed them in silence. Dana looked calm at first, until she saw the footage. JD kissing her neck in the kitchen, Lily visible in the background. The timestamp read, 11:04 a.m. on a weekday. Dana claimed Lily was at private tutoring. The judge cleared his throat. I am granting Mr. Raines temporary supervised visitation, starting this weekend. Dana slammed her pen on the table. Lily smiled just a little, and when Cal saw her that Saturday morning in a court-supervised playroom, she ran to him, hugged him like she'd never left, and whispered one sentence that changed everything. I want to tell the judge everything now. Saturday, 10:02 a.m. The court-appointed playroom was painted with fake warmth, sunflowers, clouds, a plastic slide in the corner. But everything smelled like bleach and control. Cameras in each corner. A clipboard holding supervisor in a folding chair. Cal waited by the entrance, his heart pounding in perfect, military rhythm. The door buzzed open, and there she was. Lily, 7 years old. Hair longer now. Dressed in a sky-blue hoodie. She held a stuffed bear with one arm and rubbed her other wrist absently, like it still hurt. Their eyes met, and for a split second, Cal feared she wouldn't recognize him. But then Daddy. She ran. He knelt, braced for the hit, and caught her in full force. The supervisor cleared her throat, ready to take notes, but Cal didn't care. Because Lily was crying into his shoulder, and he was finally allowed to hold his daughter again. They played board games, drew pictures. She whispered secrets to him in codes only a father and daughter could understand. Cal noticed the bruises. Small, faint, fading, but there. One on her forearm, another behind her knee. He didn't point them out, didn't ask. Not yet. Instead, he kept the conversation light until Lily herself made it heavy. Mom says if I talk too much, they'll send me away. Cal looked at her gently. Who would send you away, baby? She hesitated, then pointed at the camera in the corner. Cal leaned in, whispered like it was a mission. What did you want to tell the judge? She squeezed the bear tighter. I have something, but I hid it. Can I give it to you next time? Cal nodded. You promise? Lily's voice didn't tremble. I swear, Daddy. On Max. Max was the bear, the one she carried into every nightmare since she was 4. 2 days later, Dana was furious in court. She's a child. She doesn't know what she's saying. The judge didn't flinch. And yet she's under oath now, Ms. Raines. Dana's lawyer objected. Your Honor, this is manipulation. The judge shut them down. I've reviewed the recordings, the documents, and the footage submitted by Mr. Raines and his legal counsel. The court is obligated to consider the child's well-being above all. This hearing will proceed. Flashback, 4 months earlier. Cal watched from the hill above Dana's house, camera in hand. He wasn't spying anymore. He was gathering. Dana had a new routine. Wednesdays and Fridays, she'd leave Lily home alone while she ran errands. She didn't know Cal had footage of the boyfriend arriving 20 minutes later. The worst was the argument. It played through Cal's hidden mic, one he'd hidden in the garbage bin outside their home. You left her crying again, the man yelled. I told you she's fine. You locked her in the laundry room, Dana. Silence. Then a chilling reply. She's just like her father. Always watching. Always judging. Back in the present, Cal's lawyer filed a motion to introduce a sealed evidence packet. Inside, GPS metadata showing Lily left home alone during restricted hours, a noise complaint from a neighbor on a day Dana swore she wasn't home, a video clip of Lily whispering to a school counselor that mommy gets scarier when the wine bottle is empty. The judge ruled in favor of temporary shared custody, pending full investigation. Dana's face went pale. Cal didn't smile. He simply stood, nodded, and walked out with the dignity she'd tried to strip from him. 1 week later, it was a sunny morning. Cal sat at the park bench, waiting. Lily approached quietly, escorted by a court liaison. The woman smiled, gave Lily a gentle nudge, then walked off. "Hey, Max," Cal said to the bear in her arms. "You keeping her safe?" Lily giggled, then unzipped the back of the bear, pulled something out. A flash drive, wrapped in tissue, taped closed. Cal took it like it was a grenade. Lily leaned in and whispered, "It's Mommy's phone backup. I asked her boyfriend to help me with my tablet. He copied her files by mistake." Cal blinked. "You're serious?" "I'm really good with computers now," she said proudly. Cal didn't wait. That night, he drove straight to Mason's place. They plugged the drive into an isolated machine. It was gold. Screenshots of text messages between Dana and her lawyer, planning testimony. Photos of bruises Dana painted on herself with makeup. A memo labeled Custody Strategy, with bullet points like Reinforce Danger Narrative, Trigger PTSD Mention to Undermine Military Credibility, Limit Lily's Vocabulary During Testimony. Emotional confusion helps. And then, the kicker. A secret voice memo Dana had recorded and deleted, assuming it was gone for good. In it, she rants, "I don't care if she cries. She's my kid. He doesn't get to come back and play hero. I don't care what I have to say. I will bury him in court." Mason looked up, eyes wide. "This isn't just emotional manipulation," he said. "This is premeditated parental alienation. And it's illegal." The next morning, Cal sat in the courthouse lobby with a folder in his lap. His lawyer reviewed the new packet. "You're about to turn this into a federal custody case." Cal nodded. "Good. That's exactly what I want." The court investigator entered, whispering something to the judge's clerk. Within minutes, Dana was called into chambers. She exited 10 minutes later, visibly shaken. Lily's court-appointed child advocate walked past Cal on her way out, paused, and said under her breath, "She's not walking away from this." But the final blow didn't come from Cal. It came from Lily. In a closed-door interview, under sworn child testimony, Lily spoke again. This time, in detail. "My mommy said if I told people the truth, Daddy would go to jail forever. She said I had to say he yelled and hit stuff. But he never did. I was just scared because she told me if I didn't help her, I'd get taken away like on TV." The room was silent. No objections this time. "She hurt me," Lily added. "And sometimes she hurts herself, so she can blame it." 30 hours later, the judge issued a protective order against Dana. Cal was granted emergency full custody pending further investigation. Dana, required to undergo psychological evaluation and ordered no contact with Lily. She screamed in court, threw her purse, tried to lunge at Cal. 2 bailiffs restrained her. And that's when Lily stood behind the safety glass and said quietly, "Mommy, I forgive you, but I don't want to go back." Cal took Lily's hand, walked out of that courtroom like a soldier finally leaving the battlefield for good. And behind him, the system that once called him dangerous watched in silence. The media got wind of it before Cal even left the courthouse parking lot. Veteran father wins custody after daughter testifies against abusive mother. The headline hit local news within hours. They used a blurry photo of Cal from deployment, called him a warrior dad, mentioned PTSD. Didn't mention Dana's name yet, but someone saw it, and she didn't take it quietly. That night, Cal's phone rang just past midnight. It was Mason. "She's trying to flip the story." He forwarded a clip from Dana's private social media. In it, Dana sat in a dimly lit bedroom, mascara streaked down her cheeks, trembling voice. "I know what the courts say, but they don't see what I've seen. Cal is dangerous. He has the training to hurt people without leaving marks. My daughter is traumatized. She doesn't even know it. And now they've given her to him. Please, share this if you care about protecting mothers." The video had already hit 26,000 views. The comments were a war zone. Some believed her. Some called her out. Others just threw gas on the fire. But Cal? He didn't respond. He just turned off the phone and focused. Because he knew something Dana didn't. She wasn't just up against a father anymore. She was up against a soldier who had just begun his second mission, And this one wasn't about survival. It was about truth. 3 days later, the court-ordered forensic audit began. It was subtle at first, just a request for financial disclosures. But once the forensic accountant dug into Dana's tax records, something snapped loose. An unreported account, set up in a trust, funded by monthly transfers from Lily's medical stipend. Money meant for therapy, nutrition, and school supplies. Diverted, and then traced to J.D. Grayson, the man Cal had caught on camera. He wasn't just Dana's boyfriend. He was also her paralegal. The discovery exploded through the legal team. Dana was now facing fraud charges, ethical misconduct, and misuse of government benefits. Cal's lawyer prepped a new hearing, one that would not only cement Cal's custody, but potentially result in Dana's arrest. But the more the court uncovered, the darker it got. Mason found a hidden chat group on a secure messaging app. Dana and 2 other women were in it. One of them? Her sister. The same social worker who filed a character affidavit claiming Cal was emotionally dangerous. The messages were brutal. He'll break eventually. All military men do. Lily's smart, but she'll believe whatever Dana tells her if she hears it enough. The only way to win custody is to make him look like he snapped. And then, I found the old bruise pics. Let's doctor the date stamp and send them to your lawyer. Cal's hands went cold when Mason showed him the screen. You're not just dealing with a custody lie, Mason said. This is conspiracy. A coordinated legal hit job. They were going to destroy you completely. Back at Cal's apartment, Lily was asleep in the next room. A small nightlight glowed beside her bed. She had picked out the sheets herself. Purple dinosaurs. Max the bear sat beside her pillow. Cal watched her breathe. Calm. Safe. And yet, part of him still stood guard, because danger had never come at him from this angle before. The next morning, his lawyer called. Dana's team offered a settlement. What kind? They'll back off custody. Drop all appeals. In exchange, you stop pushing for criminal charges. Cal didn't even hesitate. No deal. The next courtroom hearing was public. Dana entered in heels, clean makeup, new lawyer. She had a new strategy. Looked polished. Calm. Professional. But the moment Cal's lawyer played the group chat messages on screen, the courtroom atmosphere flipped. One line echoed loudest. The only way to win custody is to make him look like he snapped. The judge looked over the rim of his glasses. I'm issuing a full review of every affidavit, witness statement, and filing submitted by Ms. Raines, her counsel, and any related party. Dana's face lost all its color. But it wasn't over yet, because Lily still hadn't told the full truth. That night, Cal tucked her in, sat on the edge of the bed. She was quieter than usual. Hey, Bug, he said gently. You okay? She nodded. Just thinking. About what? Lily looked at him. About the closet. Cal's breath paused. What closet? She pointed to her old drawings, some packed in a folder. In Mommy's room. The one she told me to never open. What's inside? I don't know, Lily whispered. But I think it has the pictures she didn't show anyone. Cal called Mason. We need eyes in that house. Now. It's under protective order, Mason warned. She's not supposed to be living there. She's breaking that. I guarantee it. 2 days later, Mason confirmed it. Dana was staying at her sister's house, but returning to her old place after dark. Lights on, curtains drawn. They waited until she left again. Then Cal and Mason, with court authorization and the custody investigation team, entered the home. The closet in question had a false wall. Inside, they found a lockbox. Inside the lockbox? A set of Polaroid photos with fake bruises and staged household damage, a journal. Coded entries. Dana's own handwriting, a burner phone with dozens of messages between Dana and her sister, arranging crisis scenarios to trigger court interventions, and a USB labeled simply, backup plan, use if Cal wins. They handed the entire box over to the court-appointed investigator. Within 48 hours, a felony indictment was filed. Dana was arrested at her sister's home, charged with custodial interference, evidence tampering, fraudulent testimony, conspiracy to obstruct justice. Lily watched the footage on the news and said just 5 words. She told me this might happen. Cal didn't celebrate. He didn't smile. But that night, when he tucked Lily in, she whispered, "Do you still love her?" He sat beside her for a long time, then said, "I love who I thought she was, not who she chose to be." 2 weeks after Dana's arrest, Cal stood in front of his living room window, watching rain beat across the glass. Lily was at school. The house was silent, except for the faint clicking of Mason's keyboard behind him. "You're gonna want to sit for this," Mason muttered. Cal didn't. He just turned. Mason swiveled the monitor toward him. "I traced the metadata on the files from Dana's burner phone. Some of those documents, they weren't created by her." "What do you mean?" "I mean, they came from a government server. A child welfare department server." Cal's stomach knotted. Mason continued. "Her sister, Tina, had clearance. She used her agency login to pull real documents, then altered them. Created fake reports. Even altered timestamps on one of Lily's medical logs to suggest bruises existed before you had visitation. So she falsified government records? More than that." Mason clicked again. "She submitted them directly to the court under her name." "Your entire custody case?" "It was built on state-verified lies." Later that night, Cal met with his lawyer. She scanned the files for 10 minutes before looking up. "This is enough for a federal investigation. They manipulated the system from the inside. Family services, court filings, even the school counselor who conveniently never submitted their concern reports about Lily." She paused. "You weren't just targeted by a bitter ex-wife, Cal. You were caught in a coordinated abuse of public trust." Meanwhile, Dana sat in a county jail cell shaking, pacing, waiting. Not for release. For silence. Because someone had told her to stay quiet. And that someone wasn't her lawyer. The next day, the court issued subpoenas to both Dana and Tina's former employers. And suddenly, everything got slower. Motions stalled. Emails bounced. Witnesses withdrew. Cal knew what that meant. Someone with power was getting nervous. He received a plain white envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a single photograph. A surveillance shot. Dana in a coffee shop. Across from her sat a man in a blue suit, mid-50s, silver tie pin, thinning hair. Smiling. Shaking hands. Cal turned it over. A name was scrawled on the back in shaky handwriting. Alan Dorsey, County Child Services Oversight Board. Mason ran the name. Alan Dorsey had been flagged in a 2017 investigation for improperly sealing abuse cases. Never charged. He was still active, still powerful, and, based on Dana's files, he had once signed off on Tina's employment promotion. This wasn't just a family matter anymore. It was systemic, and someone had just tried to warn Cal, anonymously. Later that week, Cal met with Lily's court-appointed child advocate. They sat in a park, away from phones, cameras, microphones. The advocate leaned forward. "There's something you should know." "Go ahead." Lily's school submitted 3 behavioral reports last year. Indicators of stress. Emotional withdrawal. One drawing was flagged for possible abuse. Cal nodded. "I know. Those reports never made it to the court." "What?" "They were erased from the official file. Replaced with generic academic notes. Someone covered their tracks." Cal's voice dropped. "How far does this go?" The advocate hesitated, then whispered. "I think your wife was promised help in exchange for silence about someone else." That night, Lily had another nightmare. Cal rushed to her room, saw her curled up, whispering. "No, not the closet again." He held her hand, soothing her. And then she said it, barely audible. "Mommy said, if I ever told, the man from Mommy's work would come take me forever." Cal froze. The next morning, he dug through the copied phone logs again. Found a number Dana called 27 times during the 3-month custody trial. He traced it to an unregistered burner, location masked. But Mason had another way. "I hacked a copy of the phone's voicemail cache. One saved message. Playback garbled, but audible. You did your part. Keep your mouth shut. If your husband pushes, we'll bury him the way we buried the last one." "Last one," Cal whispered. Mason leaned in. There was another vet. Lost custody. Got accused of abuse. Name was Mark Sorrell. No charges. No conviction. Just vanished from his daughter's life. Cal clenched his jaw. This wasn't about me. This is what they do. Now it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about breaking a system built to erase fathers like him, one lie at a time. And Lily? She had survived it. Barely. But maybe Mark's daughter hadn't. The name Mark Sorrell stayed with Cal all night. He sat at his kitchen table, a cup of black coffee going cold, files spread out like a battlefield map. Mason paced the room behind him, phone in hand, earbuds connected to a secure line. No social media, no active phone line. He's like a ghost, Mason muttered. Then we find the trail, Cal said. Everyone leaves one. 5 years earlier. Mark Sorrell was a decorated Army medic. 2 deployments. Returned home to Georgia, married to a pediatric nurse, father to a 5-year-old daughter named Ava. Everything changed in 2019. A family court filing. His wife accused him of psychological abuse, claimed he yelled in front of Ava, broke mirrors, scared her into silence. No charges filed. No restraining order granted. But a temporary custody order was approved. And within 2 months, Mark gave up. No trace after that. I don't think he just walked away, Mason said. He tossed a thin manila folder onto the table. Inside were clippings. A local news article with the headline, "Father Abandons Daughter During Custody Case." A Reddit thread speculating about another unhinged vet. One photo of Mark, standing next to a swing set, daughter in hand, military fatigue still on, and a sticky note. Cal's fingers tensed as he read it. Alan Dorsey was on the county review board in this case too. Where was this? Cal asked. Cherokee County, Georgia, Mason replied. Same exact family services structure as here. Same oversight rotation. So Dorsey's been doing this longer than we thought. And Dana knew it, Mason added. Some of the metadata on her burner phone traces back to a PDF she received 2 years ago. Guess what the file name was? Cal said nothing. Mason flipped the screen around. Sorrell_outcome_custody_closed. Cal stood up slowly. They gave her a roadmap. They gave her a pattern, Mason said. And she ran the play. The next day, Cal took a flight to Georgia. He didn't tell his lawyer. Didn't tell Mason. Didn't even tell Lily. She thought he was visiting another base for the weekend. But this wasn't a mission he could outsource. This was personal. He drove through Cherokee County with nothing but a faded address from Mark Sorrell's old license and a rental car with Florida plates. The house was boarded up. A rusted mailbox. Overgrown hedges. Quiet street. Cal stepped out and knocked anyway twice. Nothing. But a voice came from across the street. You looking for Mark? An older man sat in a rocking chair on the porch opposite. Vietnam vet hat. Toothpick in mouth. Cal crossed over. Yeah, I served too. Heard he used to live here. The old man squinted. You military? Special forces. Thought so. You've got that. I don't sleep much, look. Cal managed a dry smile. Did Mark ever talk about what happened? The old man nodded slowly. He stopped talking the day he lost his girl. Said the system chewed him up, and there weren't enough bullets in the world to shoot his way out. Cal sat on the porch rail. Do you know where he went? I heard rumors. He went north. Changed his name. Keeps to himself now. Lives near a little scrapyard town called Eastwell. Population's mostly broken things. 2 days later, Cal pulled into a dusty gravel lot outside Eastwell Auto Salvage. A makeshift cabin stood at the far end, smoke coming from a tin chimney. Cal knocked once. A woman answered. Can I help you? I'm looking for Mark. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Then, from behind her, a man stepped forward. Beard. Gray around the eyes. Rough hands. No smile. He stared at Cal like a mirror. You came a long way, Mark said. So did you, Cal replied. They sat on the back porch. Mark rolled a cigarette. Didn't light it. You know what they did to me? I read what they let the world see. They made my daughter say I hurt her. Coached her with puppets. Told her if she said I was good, I'd go to jail. She was 5. She cracked. I lost everything. Cal stared out across the scrapyard. What kept you alive? Mark exhaled slowly. The day she finds me. That's the day I want to still be breathing. Phil handed him a copy of the burner phone files. The same people are doing it again. But I stopped it. Mark didn't react until he saw one name. Alan Dorsey. Mark's jaw twitched. He's still running that game? I think he gave my ex-wife the blueprint. You going after him? I already am. Mark stood up. Then don't make the mistake I did. What mistake? I played fair. I thought the court would fix it once they saw the truth. But truth doesn't work when the system profits from silence. Cal returned to his motel that night and opened his laptop. In a blank file, he typed one title at the top, Operation Glass Court below it. He wrote, Objective, expose Alan Dorsey. Free every buried father. End the system from within. Meanwhile, back home, Dana sat in an interrogation room. Her lawyer gone. Her leverage vanishing. A federal investigator leaned forward with a copy of the group chat messages. You weren't the only one manipulated, but you were the only one willing to harm your child to win. Dana stayed quiet until the agent slid a single photo across the table, Cal and Lily, laughing in the park. Safe. Together. Then Dana whispered something. I wasn't supposed to lose. But she did. And what she didn't know was that Cal wasn't just going to win for himself. He was going to win for every father who'd been forced to disappear. The first upload went live at 4:03 a.m. Mason scheduled it from a secure server across 3 platforms, YouTube, Vimeo, and a private link hosted on a military veteran advocacy site. Title, The Custody Lie, How One Father Was Erased by a Court That Never Checked the Facts. Thumbnail, a freeze frame of Dana's court testimony side by side with Lily's brave statement. I don't want to live with mommy. She hurts people when no one's looking. Within 12 hours, it had over 80,000 views. Within 36 hours, 500,000. The clips spread like wildfire. Reddit threads, TikToks, Facebook reposts. Hashtags flooded the comments. Hashtag Dads Deserve Justice. Hashtag Operation Glass Court. Hashtag Lily Spoke. People didn't just watch. They reacted. Veterans, single fathers, even former family lawyers. Some cried. Some got angry. But they all said the same thing. This story feels way too familiar. Dana's phone was seized again, this time by federal agents. And the arrest of Alan Dorsey came 3 days later. It wasn't dramatic. He was escorted from his office in a clean suit, cuffs tucked under his sleeves, avoiding every camera flash. The charges were clear. Conspiracy to commit judicial fraud, suppression of child abuse reports, financial conflicts of interest in over 20 custody cases, and one sealed count tied to evidence tampering resulting in familial alienation. The country began to stir. Cal didn't make a statement. He didn't smile for cameras. But his name was no longer whispered in courtrooms. Now it was printed in headlines like, Special Forces Father Brings Down Custody Corruption Ring. They said I was dangerous, but my daughter spoke the truth. Veteran exposes family court rod in viral bombshell. Still, Cal wasn't done. Because for every article and every click, there was still no justice for Mark Sorrell. No record reversal. No apology. Just erasure. At a courthouse cafe, 3 weeks later, Cal met with an investigative journalist, Elena Kravitz. Smart. Fearless. Known for taking down corrupt judges in the 90s. She leaned across the table, her voice sharp. I want everything you have. Raw. Unedited. I'm going long form. A documentary. Cal slid over a hard drive. It's all there. Files. Surveillance. Audio. Lily's testimony. Elena hesitated. Including the closet files? He nodded. And Dorsey's voice on Dana's burner? Every word. But Elena wanted more. There's still a missing piece, Cal. Why would Dorsey and his circle do this? Why erase fathers? Mason answered from behind her. Money. Grants. Department quotas. Elena raised an eyebrow. Explain. Mason opened a folder. Dorsey's counties received boosted federal funding for successful intervention cases. Each case closed with a removed father marked as an abuser without trial, counted as a win. And who certified those reports? Tina, Dana's sister. The system wasn't built to destroy fathers, but it was rewarded when they vanished. Elena's documentary went into post-production immediately. She promised it would premiere online in 30 days. But by then, someone else had taken notice. FBI Office, Internal Affairs Division. An agent reviewed Cal's case file. Then another. Then 20. And saw the pattern. Names. Tactics. Identical filing language. An internal memo was sent across 3 regional branches. Potential widespread abuse of custody protocol by coordinated court and agency personnel. Investigation priority. High. Back at Cal's home. He tucked Lily in for the night. She slept peacefully now. No locks on her door. No nightmares. No need to whisper. Just a child. Safe. But at 2:12 a.m., Cal's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Private line. He answered. Quiet. Rains. Who is this? Someone who knew what Dorsey was doing. Someone who got out before it got too dark. Pause. I have files. Old ones. From before your wife got involved. From Mark Sorrell's case. Cal sat up straight. Where are you? Not safe to say over the phone. Meet me tomorrow. Eastwell Diner. Noon. The line went dead. Cal didn't hesitate. Next morning, he packed a drive, a concealed recorder, and a loaded sense of purpose. Mason offered backup. Cal refused. This one. I need to do alone. At the Eastwell Diner. The man was already there. Gray coat. Sunspot scars on his hands. Nervous. He slid a flash drive across the table. I used to work under Dorsey. IT consultant. I ran data filters. That's how they flagged which cases to manage, mostly veterans. Single fathers. The ones who wouldn't have clean paper trails. Cal's voice dropped. So they targeted men like us, because we were easy to discredit? The man nodded. They used your strength against you. Discipline. Silence. Nobody suspects a father who doesn't fight back. They think he's guilty. He looked out the window, then leaned close. I kept a copy, because I thought maybe one day someone like you would show up. That night, Cal opened the flash drive with Mason. What they saw inside made the previous evidence look small. Dozens of flagged cases. Everyone with a father marked as emotionally volatile, despite no charges. All signed by Dorsey. All linked to increased funding claims. Some even marked with a chilling code. C1X. Project Clean Break. Mason looked up. They turned it into a business model. Cal whispered, no more silence. The next upload was the one that broke the internet. Title, Project Clean Break. How a government-funded program erased fathers for profit. View count, 1 million in 8 hours. 10 million by morning. News outlets picked it up. Government hearings were scheduled. Court dockets were reopened. And one final date was stamped onto the calendar. The People versus Alan Dorsey, public trial set. In the final frame of Elena's documentary, she asks Cal, what would you say to the judge who once called you a danger to your own daughter? Cal looks straight into the lens. She's still got a bruise from the monster you left her with. 3 days before Alan Dorsey's public trial, Cal noticed something off. Lily's backpack was zipped wrong. She was always careful with her things. Color-coded notebooks. Bare keychain always clipped to the front. But that morning, it was hanging by a different strap. Cal unzipped the bag after school. Inside, tucked between her math book and a granola bar, was a folded pink envelope. No name, no stamp, just one word printed in bold red marker. Stop. He opened it slowly. Inside was a photo, low resolution, but clear. Lily, on the school playground. Taken from a distance. On the back, we erased one father. Don't make us erase you too. Cal didn't panic. He moved. By nightfall, Lily was in a safe house. Unmarked. Monitored. Surrounded by 2 trusted Marines from his former unit. Guys who owed him their lives and didn't ask questions. Cal stood outside, staring into the dark. Mason pulled up next to him. You good? I was. Until they threatened her. Mason handed him a small black drive. This is everything we have. Every file. Every voice memo. If something happens to me, this goes straight to the FBI and the press. Cal nodded. Same for me. Meanwhile, inside the courthouse, Dorsey's legal team launched a desperate strategy: claim mental duress. He wasn't operating with full awareness of what his staff was doing, the attorney said. He was grieving a personal loss. His son passed 2 years ago, but the judge wasn't buying it. You don't erase fathers and bankrupt families because of grief. You plan this. The day of the trial, the courtroom was full. Press, advocates, families whose lives had been touched and destroyed by similar false narratives. Cal sat at the witness bench, stone-faced. Across the aisle, Dorsey sat in a blue suit, no tie, no expression. And beside him, to Cal's disgust, sat Dana, free on bond, freshly made up, looking at Cal like the war wasn't over. Mr. Raines, the prosecutor said, can you tell the court what happened the day your daughter testified against her mother? Cal leaned into the microphone. She told the truth. For the first time, someone believed her. And did you expect that truth to spread? No. But I knew once it did, it wouldn't stop at my case. He paused, looked directly at Dorsey. There are men missing from their children's lives right now because of what he built. I was lucky. I fought back. Most couldn't. The court played the burner phone voice memo again. Dorsey's voice. If your husband pushes, we'll bury him the way we buried the last one. Cal didn't flinch. Then came Lily's therapist to the stand. She testified about the emotional manipulation, the bribed school counselor, the staged photographs. Then Mason, who explained the Project Clean Break funding system. And finally, Elena Kravitz played the final unreleased clip from her documentary. A blurred interview. A hidden whistleblower's voice. Dorsey once said, fathers break. If they don't, we make them look broken. Recess was called. Dana brushed past Cal outside the courtroom. You really think she'll be safe forever? He stepped in her path. Close. Cold. She's safe now. You're the one who's running out of hiding places. That night, the Marines at the safe house spotted something, a silver Honda parked down the block. Same car. Same time. 2 nights in a row. Not moving. No plates. They reported it. Mason ran traffic cams. It matched a vehicle registered to a disbarred custody lawyer, once tied to Dorsey's firm. The next day, Cal brought it to court security. Protective detail around Lily doubled. Back inside the courtroom, the verdict phase began. Dorsey's defense begged for leniency. But the prosecutor had one last move. She handed the judge a file labeled Appendix D, Ava Sorrell case. A sealed folder. The judge opened it, scanned a few pages, and went visibly pale. Where did this come from? He asked. The father Mr. Dorsey erased before Cal Raines. Is the child safe? Still missing. The courtroom changed. The air thickened. A murmur ran through the crowd. Now it wasn't just about Cal. It was about systemic loss. Vanished records. Lost daughters. Buried fathers. The judge addressed Dorsey directly. Do you have anything to say before sentencing? Dorsey stood, straightened his suit, looked at no one. Then, I was protecting children from dangerous men. You were protecting a check, the judge snapped. Sentence delivered, 36 years. Dana's case was reopened again, this time with federal charges attached. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Cal didn't speak, but Elena did. She held up a folder. This story isn't over. Because for every Alan Dorsey who falls, there's another hiding behind protocol. Back at the safe house, Lily waited by the window. Cal walked in. She jumped into his arms. Are we done? She asked. He held her close. Not yet, he said. But you're never going to be alone again. That night, he sat in silence. Laptop open. Cursor blinking. He opened a new document. At the top, he typed, the truth they tried to bury. Below it. This isn't a story about a father winning custody. It's about a system losing its grip. The night before Dana's federal hearing, the wind picked up. Not just outside, inside the courthouse system. 2 prosecutors recused themselves. A sealed case file from 2016 vanished from the court server. And a warning came from inside the FBI. Someone's still protecting her. Cal stayed alert. No celebrations. No press interviews. No victory dinners. He was trained to spot danger in silence, and silence was exactly what the enemy had gone back to. 1:32 a.m. Lily stirred in the safe house. She sat up, Max the bear tucked under her arm. Her window was cracked open. She never opened windows. Not at night. She padded toward it in socks. That's when she saw it, a phone on the ledge. Screen on. Video playing. Her own face, recorded secretly in the school hallway 2 months ago. Below it, a message in bright red text. Your dad won't always be watching. The Marines responded in seconds. Cleared the perimeter. Swept the area. Whoever left the phone was long gone. But they left something else behind, a flash drive. Labeled, Cal's next fall. Back at Mason's bunker lab, Cal stood over his shoulder as they opened the drive. It was a compilation. Doctored audio. Spliced videos. Footage of Cal during training sessions. Grunting, slamming punching bags, firing weapons. A fake narrative, designed to paint him as violent, unstable. He's trying to build the next case against you, Mason said. No, Cal muttered. She is. 8 a.m. Federal court. Dana entered in a white blazer, pearl earrings, and a baby pink scarf, an image of composed motherhood. The reporters swarmed her. She didn't hide. She smiled. When asked about Lily, she simply said, I love my daughter, no matter what story has been twisted to pull her away from me. But Cal had seen that look before. Not love. Not regret. Control. Inside the courtroom, the charges were read. Evidence tampering coercion of a minor conspiracy to defraud endangerment of a child, criminal misuse of federal benefits. Dana pleaded not guilty on all counts. Her attorney submitted a motion. Defense intends to introduce evidence of emotional manipulation and entrapment by the plaintiff, Mr. Raines. Mason laughed under his breath. Cal didn't, because he knew where this was going. They were trying to flip the entire case. Paint Cal's surveillance as obsession. Claim the documentary was edited. Claim Lily was coached. It was the dirtiest defense they had left, and it was dangerous. Because it wasn't aimed at the judge. It was aimed at the jury. Outside the courthouse, Elena met Cal in the hallway. You have to get in front of this, she said. Publicly. No, personally. On record. There's something about you they still haven't seen. Cal frowned. What's that? Why you didn't walk away? That night, Cal recorded his statement. Simple. Honest. One camera. No edits. I'm not here because I'm angry. I'm not here because I need revenge. I'm here because my daughter spent 3 years in fear and no one saw her but me. And I wasn't allowed to hold her hand while she cried through it. That ends now. He paused, then added, this isn't about a man with military training. It's about a little girl who finally told the truth. And the system that tried to silence her. The video went live the morning of day 3 of Dana's trial. By the time court resumed, #LilyToldTheTruth was trending nationwide. Inside, Dana watched the clip play on a courtroom monitor. Her hands didn't move, but the tremor in her jaw gave her away. Then came the prosecution's final witness. Lily's former school counselor. One of the quiet players who had mysteriously vanished during the custody case. Subpoenaed. Nervous. Sweating. She took the stand and looked straight ahead. I was told to stand down, she said. I reported what Lily said. I flagged the drawing. I sent the emails. Who told you to stop? Tina Raines. Her aunt. And who did Tina say was behind the decision? The room hushed. She said, quote, Dorsey's already decided how this one ends. The courtroom erupted. Dana's attorney demanded dismissal. The judge refused. Outside, a black SUV pulled up to the courthouse loading dock. Inside was Alan Dorsey in federal transport custody. As he was escorted through the back hallway, he passed Dana, surrounded by marshals. He didn't look at her, but she did, and her expression changed. Not sorrow, not fear, betrayal. Like she had finally realized she was never the one holding the leash. Day 5. Closing arguments. Prosecution. Dana Raines didn't just lie. She trained a child to fear her own protector. And she did it under the guidance of a man who exploited government systems for profit. Defense. She was a scared mother, manipulated by forces beyond her control. But it didn't land. The evidence was too clear. The recording's too cold. The bruises too real. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. When they returned, the court fell silent. On the charge of criminal child endangerment, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to defraud a federal court, guilty. On the charge of coercion of a minor, guilty. All counts. Guilty. Cal didn't move. Lily wasn't there, kept safe by the advocate. But when the judge read the sentence, 22 years without parole, he imagined Lily's hands squeezing his like she did in the park that day. As Dana was led out in cuffs, she turned once, expecting pity. All she saw was a man who had once died emotionally and rebuilt himself from the ground up, not to punish her, but to protect what she tried to break. That night, Cal met Elena on a rooftop downtown. She was finalizing the closing scene of the documentary. He watched the city below. "Do you think it'll change anything?" he asked. Elena didn't hesitate. "It already has." She handed him a flash drive. "What's this?" 10 new fathers. Reaching out. Same pattern. Same lies. They're ready to fight. He took it. Pocketed it. Then looked at the stars. One more mission. Back home, Lily ran into his arms. He lifted her up, held her longer than usual, and whispered into her ear, "You were the one who ended this. Not me." She smiled. Sleepy. Safe. And for the first time in years, there were no monsters left in the dark. 6 months later, the courtroom was quiet again. Same judge. Different case. Another father on the stand. This one was younger. Nervous. Voice shaky. He clutched a folder in his lap. Inside were documents, audio clips, and a sworn affidavit from the little girl who said her daddy only yells when mommy yells first. And at the back of the courtroom, sitting in plain clothes, no press around, no camera crew following, sat Cal Raines. Watching. Listening. Because this time, the judge was listening too. Outside, the air was cool. Early fall. Lily stood by the courthouse steps, her backpack slung over one shoulder. She was taller now. Happier. Still held Max the bear some days, but now with one arm, not both. Cal stepped outside and walked toward her. "How was school?" She shrugged. "Easier. My teacher asked me to write an essay about my hero." "Did you pick Max?" he teased. She smiled. "No," she said. "I picked me." Cal nodded, eyes damp. "You're a good choice." They walked to the car, just father and daughter. No lawyers. No marshals. No panic. Just freedom. But the world hadn't stopped. Because the story, their story, had cracked something open. The documentary, The Custody Lie, had passed 20 million views. Elena's email was flooded. Her voicemail full. Cal's inbox. Worse. Fathers. Grandmothers. Teachers. Even a few brave mothers who admitted they'd once been told to lie for the system's sake. Each message came with something attached. A file. A letter. A voice memo. Proof. Operation Glass Court became real. No longer just a folder in Mason's system. It became a movement. Cal didn't want fame. He refused TV interviews. Denied publishers. But he met people. Quietly. Carefully. He'd sit with fathers in coffee shops. He'd help them organize documents, write affidavits, record safe conversations. He taught them how to track patterns, how to gather, not attack. It wasn't about vengeance. It was about protection. One day, he met a boy named Tyler, age 9, who hadn't seen his father in 2 years. The mother claimed the dad was violent, but the files told a different story. Tyler had drawn a picture for Cal after they met. It was stick figures, one tall with a beard, one smaller with a bear. Underneath, in a shaky scrawl, were the words, "You helped her. Can you help me?" Cal hung that picture in his living room, right above his discharge certificate. Because that was the mission now. Back at home, Lily had started writing a book. She called it The Bear and the Brave One. It wasn't really about Max the bear. And the brave one? It wasn't Cal. It was her. She'd illustrated the cover herself. On it, a girl standing between two shadows. One looked like her dad. The other wore a smile, but had no face. The tagline? Sometimes monsters look like moms. But that doesn't mean you stop loving the light. Dana's sentencing appeal was denied. She would serve her full term. Inmate number 6235472. No early release. No communication with Lily. Ever. A sealed protection order now followed Lily until her 18th birthday. Cal didn't rejoice. He didn't even mention it to Lily. He just bought her ice cream that day. Chocolate chip. Her favorite. Because she smiled more on days when she forgot courtrooms existed. Alan Dorsey's case expanded. Other counties filed suit. 2 judges were removed. A class action lawsuit began for families wrongfully broken apart under Project Clean Break. The term was now banned from all future federal court language. Mason? He left cybersecurity. Started his own nonprofit, Glass Court Alliance. Elena went national. Won an award. Dedicated it to Lily in her speech. Because truth doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers through a child brave enough to speak. And Cal? He was just dad again. Soccer practice. Grocery lists. Helping Lily learn multiplication. Burning toast on school mornings. Relearning how to sleep without one eye open. But there were scars. Not all visible. One night, Lily came into his room after a thunderstorm. "Can I sleep in here?" she asked. Cal lifted the blanket. "Always." She curled next to him, still small despite how strong she'd become. Then she asked the question, the one she hadn't asked since the trial ended. "Will she ever come back?" Cal looked at the ceiling. Thought. Chose his words carefully. "No, the law won't let her." But what if the law forgets? He turned, pulled her close. "Then I won't. Even if I forget. Especially then." Later that night, he sat in the living room alone. Flipped through Lily's drawings. One caught his eye unfinished. It showed a courtroom. Lily on the stand. Cal in the corner. But this time, unlike the real one, the judge was drawn smiling. And the sky behind the courthouse wasn't gray. It was filled with stars. He looked out the window. The sky was clear. And for the first time in years, he felt peace. Faded on Cal walking beside Lily down a quiet sidewalk at dusk. She's humming. He's just watching her, present, grounded, home. "They called me broken. Said I was dangerous. But I didn't break. I bent. I endured. I waited. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I knew one truth. She deserved to grow up free. And I deserved to be the father I was trained to be. Not a fighter. Not a shadow. But her shield. She thought I was gone. But now she knows. I was just getting ready to fight the right way." Final shot. Lily reaches out and grabs his hand. They cross a quiet street together. Her backpack swings. Max the bear hangs from the strap. She looks up and says something we can't hear. He nods. Smiles. Fade to black. She thought she'd erased him. But the world remembers the truth now. If this story moved you, if you felt the pain, the injustice, the silence that too many fathers face, then we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from right now? What city? What country? Drop your location in the comments. Let us know how stories like this echo where you are. And if this story made you pause, made you feel something, hit the like button. Not for us. For every child still waiting to be heard. For every parent still fighting in silence. For every truth they tried to erase. Share this video with someone who needs to know. The system can be fought. The truth still matters. And dignity can be restored. And if you want more powerful stories like this, real, raw, and unforgettable, subscribe now. Because we're just getting started.